Well guys, I'm back at it again with another one of these videos. I'm not exactly happy to be back. In fact, I'm honestly kind of pissed off. You see, I covered this already, and when I made my previous stance offering ways to go about this, it wouldn't have never occurred to me that even if it ever gotten seen, that it would just fall upon deaf ears. For any of you who aren't aware of the situation, which I'm honestly doubtful about, I will be linking my previous video as well as 2 other videos in a stream in the description below. So as of now, it has been 2 days since Jay released his own video on the matter regarding Dan and Steven. Before, I didn't think I could be even more pissed than I was when I made the previous video, and let me just say, I had to alter the script a lot because I didn't want it to come off as too emotional. It's not why I'm here. Emotions are not always a good thing to include in your content, at least not in my line of content due to the critical nature of it. I know that we were all told not to attack Dan, but I will allow myself to go full ham on this situation. This whole situation went from 1 to 100 over the matter of one night. The night that occurred after the release of Steven's video, but after Jay's video, that 100 just took a deep dive to 1000. Courtesy of our dear friend Jay, we all know now that this was a reoccurring theme of Dan's to treat everyone who does anything for him like shit, and to be a greedy son of a bitch. We also know that any advice that he was given to straighten his ass up was ignored by his own colleague. Not to mention the fact that, being real here, he was just using Jay, just like he did Steven, and just like he did his own damn animation crew. So welcome to 2020, motherfuckers. Not even a month in and we're already going down shit creek. I revoke every bit of advice that I gave in my video because it's, for one, just gonna be ignored, and for two, what good is it going to do now? DanPlan's main actors are gone at this point. Let's not forget the third point. The fact that Dan has simply said that his channel starts to sink, he's not going to bother trying to fix it. Now back to point 2. Steven is gone, and according to Jay, Hosa isn't going to be around anymore because, well, he's off to mandatory military service in Korea for the next 2 years. I'm just playing this by ear, so if I get some details wrong, feel free to correct me. Jay has already declared that he's not going to be doing DanPlan full-time, and after this video, I wouldn't be surprised if he ever does a video with DanPlan again, because let's be real here, Dan is a vindictive piece of shit. He will cut Jay off simply just because of the video he made. I think we can all agree that his mindset is fucking sickening, and it continues to irk me time and time again. The fact that Dan was ready to put Jay in the same position that he did Steven is just fucking gross. You would figure that severe drop in viewers would make him rethink what he'd done, but apparently fucking not. He's going on to repeat the damn cycle. Any time that you have someone who's up there on the front lines with you as often as Jay was, as often as Steven was, and when you need Jay to play a full-time part, you can't even give him the common courtesy of a share of the channel when you're about to ask him to play a very big part in your channel. Who the actual fuck do you think you are, Dan? You are no one without them. You can play the big boy tough act and pretend that you don't give a shit about the channel, but we all know better than that. You're too fucking greedy to let that money go. Let's be real here. That's why you wouldn't be able to take the loss of your channel, because you would have nothing for yourself afterwards. You would have no money, you would have no fame, you would have nothing. It's an inevitable fact. You care too much about the money. You have wrongfully walked away with so much of it that if your channel was just up and die, you would literally have nothing and it would break you. Oh, and don't even get me started on how you underpay your fucking animators, because most of them are from Asia. The wages there are minimum, and that's an excuse to underpay your animators in Canadian standards. Why? That's gross, and honestly a tad bit culturally insensitive of you. I would say racist, but I doubt that was your prerogative in making that statement, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there, but that's all you're getting from me. So what if their living standards and wages are lower than yours? That's not an excuse to underpay your animators in fucking Canadian standards. Like Steven said, you really do treat your work scene like a fucking sweatshop. You take people with lower standards, offer them with something only a small bit better than what they have, but not enough to justify how much your channel makes. You underpaid them. You know damn well that the wages you expose them to are not enough to even live when living in a place like Canada or America. You make these people work full-time. They can't even pursue this part-time and look elsewhere for work. Imagine if they had to come to Canada or America. They would either have to quit or they would have no way of living. Does that not bother you in the slightest? I have a few of my own little critiques for Jay. It's nothing severe. I don't see him as the bad guy in this, but it's something that he really should take to heart. That he really shouldn't go back to DanPlan at this point. He shouldn't support this kind of thing. That's his choice though. He's not the one who fucked up, so I don't hate him for it. But at this point, he shouldn't help DanPlan at all. I also think him and Steven should have came out about this earlier, just simply because these abusive behaviors that Dan has displayed should not be allowed to continue. Again, I hold no fault to them because I'm sure they had their own reasons for waiting and they're not the ones to blame here. It's not their job to hold Dan's hand and teach him how to be a decent human being. That's the job of his parents. One thing that I kinda disagree with Jay on is the fact that he stated that Dan is a good person and friend, just not a very good business partner. Those are your views, man, but as someone who's been through this, I've come to my own realization in that being a good friend means setting aside business for the sake of your own friends, choosing them over it. It doesn't take brain science to realize that this is impacting his whole workforce. But emotionally, I think that the actors are getting the shittiest end of the stick, because this isn't just a lost job at this point. This is emotional pain of watching the person they care for shit on everything they do, and then to break them down to be nothing more than, just an employee. It's cruel. It's cruel and fucking terrible. Words cannot begin to express how happy that I am Jay distanced himself from the whole situation, because I would hate for him to be feeling the same way that Steven currently does or previously was. Hosa, I genuinely hope he comes out of this alright. I know this is mentally hard on everyone involved. I hope that he comes out of the military service okay, and it kind of broke my heart to hear that he was leaving for military service, because military to me is just a terrifying concept, and I feel like it should be someone's choice to give their life for their country. I feel bad that Hosa has been put in this situation, and I hope he comes out of it alright. In my own personal opinion, when war comes around and it's all sometimes just needless killing that takes away from families and leaves people broken, I don't wish that upon anyone. If my best wishes are to go out to anyone, it's going to be Hosa, and I wish him a safe return from military. I hope Steven and Jay are alright as well, because they've been treated like dirt, and it takes a lot of guts from Jay, someone who is still considered working with them, for him to come out and verify everything that Steven has said. And Steven, I know he's been going through some serious emotional turmoil. He needs a friggin' hug. Hashtag hugs and justice for Steven, y'all. Anyways, I don't want to end this on a terribly negative note, so I have an ultimatum for all of you. If any of you have contact with any of the animators, send them some good wishes and maybe a little bit of money. Let them know how appreciated their services are. If Dan isn't going to pay the people responsible for his way of living, the least us fans can do is pay the animators for their hard work and the wonderful content that they have brought for us for the past 4 years. That gave us something to look forward to, something to be happy about, and even sometimes for some people, something to live for. It's a known fact that some people who are in a mental state of turmoil at all times in their life and can't get proper care for it, they can find a reason to live a little longer just with simple outlets such as drawing, writing, singing, dancing, many of things, but more than anything at the moment, front content on YouTube as well as other streaming services. These animators probably don't realize it, but they're saving lives with their work, exactly why they should be paid more. Dan, he didn't give us that. He had the idea, which was great and all, but that was it. He just had the idea. Most of the enjoyment came from the amazing and fun art styles, as well as the wonderful personalities to match. This is exactly why I feel like donating to the animators is a good step. If you can't pay, that's perfectly fine. This is more just to show an act of care for the people behind the scenes. It's nothing mandatory. I'm not gonna hate your guts if you don't do it. All I ask is that anyone viewing this keeps it in mind, and if you know how to directly contact one of the animators, just tip them. Show them you love their work and show them that you care. It's one of the most important things you could do for these animators right now. That in mind, I hope you all have a wonderful day, or night, whichever one is suitable for you, and a good rest of your 2020. Make sure that you take care of yourselves, and please, if there's anything you can take from this, don't underpay your workers, and certainly don't treat your friends like dirt. That's the ultimate message here. Anyways, this is your local smut master, Lovely Death XX, drawing boobs and signing off.